Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. The 7th chapter, the Master and Vijay Krishna Goswami. That chapter is coming to an end. In the next class, we will be able to enter into the new chapter. This class will complete this particular part. The Marwari devotees had come and they asked, what is the way? That is the search. In the Vedas also we see inquiry into the reality, Satyanveshana. The definition of Satya, to search for the reality. It is not there in any religions of the world, this particular term, Satyanveshana, inquiry into the reality. Because most of the religions are faith dependent. Here it is not faith dependent. Faith is created by the knowledge, jnana. So the exact understanding, because when we say reality, Satya, it is the definition of Satya is which is not affected by time and space. This world in which we are living, the relative existence, apart from the absolute existence, the relative existence, the universe appears and disappears. Like we sleep and wake up, the universe appears and disappears in the absolute existence, unchanging eternal reality, in which the constantly changing flux, the universe, like a small speck in a vast ocean, boundless ocean, the universes appear and disappear. Ananta Koti Brahmanda, innumerable universes appear and disappear. We are in one of the universes. This is constantly changing. If some things which is constantly changing, can we call it real? It is there now, appears and disappears in time. My body was not there, it appeared and disappeared. Can I call this real? In Hinduism, in the philosophical background as well as in the reality of life, we don't accept anything which is appearing and disappearing in time as real. Trikala abhadita. It must be unaffected by past, present and future. It was there eternally, which is going to be there at the present, and it is going to be there at all times through the future, unaffected by time. Then we call it as real. So the question of reality, when we say God alone is real, when Sri Ramakrishna says all else is passing, life is 2 days, appearance and disappearance. Apart from that, who is wearing this life and bodily existence remains and continues. The universe appears and disappears, in which it appears and disappears. And what appears and disappears remains forever. That is the Chaitanya, and all else is Jada, matter. So this differentiation, the inquiry, in this inquiry, the Marwari devotee is asking, Sri Ramakrishna says, to reach the transcendental, unchanging eternal reality, to enter into the life eternal of unending bliss, peace, love, absolute, the ocean of bliss, peace, love, absolute, where there is no more suffering, no more bondages, but you are free eternally. To be whatever you want to be, you are free from the nature. The laws of nature do not bind you anymore. This is Mukti Sthiti, and this is what is to be attained. That is the purpose of human life and the plan of nature too. Evolution is the plan of nature. So, to Marwari devotees, Ramakrishna said, there are two paths. One is of discrimination, one of love. The Marwari devotee is asking, Sir, what is the way? There are two ways, Sri Ramakrishna says. One is the path of discrimination, the other is path of love. Now, in the last class, we went through the path of discrimination. Now we see what is love, path of love. Marwari devotee, revered sir, you just mentioned two paths. What is the other path? Because Sri Ramakrishna has explained what is the path of discrimination. Master, the path of bhakti or jealous love of God, that is ecstatic love of God. Weep for God in solitude with a restless soul and ask Him to reveal Himself to you. Path of bhakti. See, Shankaracharya writes Bhashya on Bhagavad Gita. When it comes to the Charamal Shloka, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Ahantva Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Ma Shuchaha. When it comes to this particular shloka, according to Advaita, Shankaracharya explains its meaning. What is that Sarva Dharma Mamekam? What is that Mam? He explains and all that. Writing Tika on that, Sureshwaracharya, one of his disciples, writes Tika on it. And here, when it comes to this particular shloka, he stands aside from Shankaracharya's Bhashya and says there, this is an independent path of self-surrender. That is, the Advaita and everything is all right. Dvaita is all right. Whatever way you want to go. But this path of self-surrender to God is an independent path, and no philosophy limits it. No philosophy can limit it. And in one place, our Ramana Maharshi also, a devotee goes to him and asks, Sir, what is the path? He says, who is asking this question? Search for that. Turn within and ask this question. Who is asking this question within? What is the path? The one who is asking, search for him. You will get the answer. Then that devotee says, Sir, I am practicing this for last 20 years. Since I read the first book of yours, who am I? I was carried away. I thought this is the only path, and from 20 years I have been practicing this. I have not been able to discover. I have not been able to find the answer for this. Koham, who am I? Ramana Maharshi immediately opens his eyes to the maximum existence, opening, and looks at the devotee with the staring eyes and says, if you can't surrender to God, this moment, if your surrender is complete, you will get the answer, you will realize God. He says, how that when everything fails, he says, surrender. What all spiritual practices we do is to know our limitation, that God cannot be realized through efforts. It is His grace alone that can make me realize. When Totapuri Maharaj did sadhana, it took 40 years for him to enter into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. At the early age of 9-10 years, he leaves the home and goes to the Guru's sthana, spends his whole life in Manobuddhi Ahankara Chittani Ram, denial of the bodily existence and affirmation of the spiritual existence, practices all through his life. 40 years he takes to enter into Nirvikalpa Samadhi and get the last answer. Yes, I have reached the ultimate goal of life. And then we see him as enlightened soul. He comes to teach Advaita to Sri Ramakrishna, which has practiced for 40 years. Sri Ramakrishna attains that within 3 days. You'll be surprised. And the question that, what is this? When Sri Totapuri comes, Sri Ramakrishna tells him, when Totapuri calls him and tells, will you practice? He says, yes, I want to get the permission of mother. He runs to the temple. Totapuri thinks he has gone to his own personal mother to ask for sadhana. They have bypassed this bhakti yoga of personal God and reached the transcendental. He doesn't accept any duality and any aspect of God. So they bypass. And his realization, his release, his mukti, his liberation, his redemption is guaranteed. Nothing can change it. He has attained the ultimate. Still, he missed one thing. His liberation is not obstructed by it. That he could have known God in many more ways. He has reached the ultimate, no doubt. But one more way, just like I've finished my food, my stomach is full, my hunger has gone, I got the nourishment, but I could have tasted one more way of tasting the food. So this one more way, the bhakti also he could have, later on Sri Ramakrishna gives him that knowledge also, but he never knew till he realized the personal aspect of God as Divine Mother. He went on denying every form as unreal to reach the real. But what he denied was real. He did not know. When she comes to Sri Ramakrishna and gets that knowledge, then he understands all of his path that he tread, Mother had removed every thorn in his path, every obstruction in his path. He never knew. Then he suddenly turns back his path and looks, oh, it was impossible but for Mother. She had made me to transcend all the difficulties and reach this state. I was thinking I am the doer. Then last he accepts Mother is the doer. She has led me. She has removed all the obstruction and I reached. I never knew she had kept the path clean that I could walk through. So this is the path of bhakti, where Sri Ramakrishna is telling, Master, the path of bhakti, zealous love of God, weep for God in solitude, with restless soul, and ask Him to reveal Himself to you. Then he sings, Cry, O Mother, cry to your mother, Shyama, with a real cry, O mind, and how can she hold herself from you? That is like a child. It is in playground with all friends and this playing. He is unaware of the mother, but mother is constantly aware of the child. She is waiting for him to finish the play and come. And when the play is finished, the child starts weeping, shouting, and mother goes there running. So this cry of the child towards the mother, oh mother, I finished the play, come lift me from this world, enough of this. The soul must feel saturated. Oh, enough of this, enough of this. Then the mother comes. Cry to your mother, Shama, with a real cry. Real cry means out of saturation. Oh, no more, no more, enough of it. Just like we fill our stomach, and the most delicious thing that I liked always, they went on giving, and my stomach is full. I say no more, no more, because I'm saturated. Marwari devotee. Sir, what is the meaning of worship of the personal God? And what is the meaning of God without form or attribute? Master, as you recall your father by a photograph, so likewise the worship of image reveals in a flash the nature of the reality. Do you know what God with form is like? Like bubbles rising on an expansion of water. Various divine forms are seen to rise out of that great Akasha of consciousness, Chaitanya, Chidakasha. The incarnation of God is one of these forms. The primary energy sports, as it were, through the activities of divine incarnation. Sri Ramakrishna is introducing here incarnation because God can be realized in 5 ways: as a transcendental reality, as the immanent reality, as the Lord of the universe, as the indweller Antaryamin, and as the Avatara. Avatara is all these we have to transcend with our efforts and go. God coming to us in human form to be able to love and intimately be with Him is another aspect for all those who can transcend, who can renounce, we can achieve. They belong to a different class. For their sake, God need not come down. They are capable of transcending. There are millions and millions of jivas who cannot go to Him because of their own limitations. They have put upon themselves. So God comes down. It is something like a Mahut, even such a Mahut who can control the elephant, cannot climb on the elephant's back. He is an expert controller of elephants. So what the elephant does is to sit first and stretch its trunk behind, pull its trunk behind, so that the Mahut will be able to keep one of his leg as support on the trunk and climb on its back. This coming down of the elephant to make the Mahut lift on him is called Avatara. This is explained by Ramanujacharya. What is incarnation? That is God coming down to the human level to be able to interact. For the transcendental cannot be conceived because it is beyond time and space and causation. What is time and space? Beyond time cannot be conceived by mind. Timeless existence, spaceless existence. It exists, but there is no space. We see everything is space occupied and nothing exists without space. And nothing exists without occupying a space. We have never seen a thing which doesn't have space, which doesn't need a space to stay, but exists eternally. We cannot conceive. Timeless, spaceless existence cannot be conceived with the human mind. We have to transcend the mind and go beyond. So who has the capacity to transcend the mind and go beyond? Nature's laws to transcend and go beyond. Such an ecstatic love, such a renunciation. we must have to reach the transcendental. So God comes down to the human level because love is possible between two similar species. Ant can love ant, elephant can love elephant. Elephant cannot love ant cannot love cat, cat cannot love dog. This similar species cannot love each other. Cat can love cat, dog can love dog, man can love man, man cannot love divine, divine can love man, because divine is present in all beings. It is itself, so it is able to, but we can't. I must raise to the level of divinity, pure divinity, independent of bodily existence, to be able to love God. So God comes from the human level to make it, give an opportunity to love man, to love God. So this is called avatara, incarnation. Sri Ramakrishna is explaining avatara because it is easy to hold on to a form and love God. As you recall your father by a photograph, so likewise the worship of the image reveals in a flash the nature of reality. When I see the picture of a father, a son sees the picture of a father, immediately the whole father's awareness, he is filled with that awareness. He immediately remembers the past days that he spent, and association. Everything he recognizes, remembers. Likewise, the moment the picture reminds him, even often, if it is of the past life also, if you see a picture of your past life's father also, it attracts. It immediately awakens you. Oh, is something as if related to me. Like that. So it reminds of the whole thing. Like that picture of God reminds his reality. Photograph is unreal, but of the real. Photograph of the real. So it reminds of the real. Though photograph is unreal, it reminds of the real Father. The awareness is filled with the reality. Like that, image worship fills the awareness with reality of what it is, what it represents. That's why we call it symbolism. Reveals in a flash the nature of reality. Do you know what God is with form is like? Like bubbles rising in the expanse of water. Various divine forms appear, or we can take it as wave. Ocean is a Satchidananda Sagara, the impersonal God, absolute, unchanging, eternal reality, ocean of bliss, peace, love, absolute. One wave is Rama, another wave is Krishna, another wave is Shiva, another wave is Durga. So each wave, there cannot be a wave without a ocean. Dive into any wave, you enter into the same ocean, Satchidananda. It is just to attract you, to make you concentrate, we show the form. God takes the form and makes the arrangements for his worship. Incarnation of God is one of these forms. The primal energy sports, as it were, through the activities of a divine incarnation, as it were. Really it doesn't, but it as it were. He takes a human form, behaves like a human to make interaction possible, and slowly raises his consciousness. When gopis came to Krishna, they were all aware of their own womanhood and woman, except Radha. Radha was the only person who was Videhi, who never knew she has a body. So Krishna loves her so much deeply because she is unaware of her body and her bodily existence and worldly relationships. She is so pure and divine that he could love her independent of her body. Other gopis were still slowly, by stages, God raises them to the divine level of being one with their divinity. So, raising the consciousness, it is the one form is the primal energy, which is God, as it were, divine incarnation. Through activities, so many Leela, God comes down in human form, leaves a Leela behind to be contemplated and to transcend. So this leaving behind is the most important part. What is there in mere scholarship? God can be attained by crying to Him with a longing heart. There is no need to know many things. He who is, Sri Ramakrishna is coming to the beautiful path of, the journey is so nice and beautiful, there is no tearing away. In Jnana Yoga, you have to tear away from everything. Begins with a denial of body as myself. Here it is not. It is a beautiful journey. You are passing through everything with the divine awareness. He who is an Acharya has to know different things. One needs a sword to shield to kill, sword and shield to kill others, but to kill oneself, a needle or a nail knife suffices. One ultimately discovers God by trying to know who is this I is. Is this I the flesh, bones, blood or marrow? Is it the mind or buddhi? Analyzing thus, you realize at last you are none of these. This is called the process of Neti. Neti is bringing the difference between the Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Not this, not this. One can neither comprehend nor touch Atman. It is without qualities and attributes. He is showing in the difference here. Marwadi devotees saluted the master and took their leave. The approach of the evening, Sri Ramakrishna went out to look at the sacred river. The beautiful river is flowing, the Ganga, in front. He used to hold greatest reverence for the Ganga as the Papanashini. Any sinner coming and sitting and going is to say 6 cubits below the vibrations will be there. Sprinkling the Ganges is to purify. Such a purificatory thing in this universe. The lamp was lighted in his room. The master chanted the hallowed name of Divine Mother and meditated on her. It was his daily practice. Then the evening worship began in the temples. The sounds of gongs floating on the air mingled with the murmuring voice of the river. Peace and blessedness reigned everywhere. There ends the chapter. So next class will begin the new chapter. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.